You're standing in the grocery store, cart in front of you, list in your hand, and you're doing the math, not because you enjoy math, because you have to, because somewhere between the pasta aisle and the checkout line, you've already calculated, twice, whether the total is going to clear, whether you remember that the electric bill auto-drafts on Thursday, whether that $47 you've been holding as a buffer is actually still there, or whether something already took it that you forgot about. You grab the name brand pasta sauce, put it back, grab the store brand, keep moving. Nobody around you knows this is happening. You look completely normal. You're just shopping. But inside, a calculator is running constantly. It never turns off. It runs at the grocery store, at the gas station, at dinner when the bill comes, at 2 a.m. when you're supposed to be sleeping. That calculator, that constant, exhausting, invisible calculator, is what life feels like below a certain number. And the most remarkable thing happens when you cross it. The calculator turns off. Not forever, not completely, but enough. Enough that you walk into a grocery store and just shop. Enough that a car problem becomes an inconvenience instead of a crisis. Enough that your brain, for the first time in years, has the space to think about something other than survival. That number is $10,000, and today we're going to talk about exactly why it changes everything and how to get there. I'm your friendly investor, and I spend too much time thinking about the invisible line that separates people who are managing money from people who are building with it, and what it actually takes to cross from one side to the other. If you want to understand the real mechanics of how wealth starts, not the highlight reel version, the honest version, subscribe. We do this every week. And if this video ends up being one of those that you save and come back to, hit the thumbs up. It helps us reach someone who's standing in that grocery store right now doing the same math. All right, let's talk about what $10,000 actually does to your life. Here's what most people think about saving $10,000. They think it's a number, a goal, a round figure that sounds responsible and grown up. Something to work toward because financial advisors say you should have an emergency fund and 3 months of expenses, and so on. They treat $10,000 like a checkbox. But here's what $10,000 actually is. It's a mode switch. It's the difference between your brain operating in survival mode and your brain operating in something completely different. Something that feels lighter, clearer, and bigger. Something that, once you've felt it, you will never willingly go back from. Below $10,000, every financial decision you make is filtered through one question. Can I afford to lose this? That question sounds reasonable, but when it's running in the background of every single choice you make, every purchase, every opportunity, every risk, it doesn't just manage your money, it manages your entire life. It shrinks what you're willing to try. It narrows who you're willing to become. It keeps you playing defense in a game that requires at least some offense to win. Above $10,000, a different question starts to emerge. Not, can I afford to lose this, but what can I do with this? That shift from defense to possibility is not motivational fluff. It is a documented, measurable change in how the human brain processes decisions. And it starts, for most people, somewhere around the 5-figure mark. The $10,000 isn't just money, it's permission. Permission to think bigger than next Thursday. Let me show you exactly what's going on under the surface. When you live without a financial cushion, when every month is close, when every unexpected expense is a small emergency, your brain is operating under something researchers call cognitive scarcity. A landmark study by Princeton economist Sendhil Mullainathan found that financial stress consumes mental bandwidth the way a background app drains your phone battery. It's running constantly, and because it's running, everything else has less power. The study found that financial scarcity alone, just the condition of being tight on money, reduced cognitive function by the equivalent of losing a full night of sleep. Not occasionally, chronically. Every day that the cushion doesn't exist, a portion of your mental capacity is quietly occupied with managing the anxiety of that absence. This is why people in financial stress make decisions that look irrational from the outside. It's not poor judgment, it's an overloaded system making the best decisions it can with the bandwidth it has left. And here's what changes at $10,000. For the first time, your brain has room. Not because your problems disappear, not because $10,000 is enough to retire on, or pay off your debt, or solve anything permanent, but because the immediate threat, the one that's been running in the background consuming everything, gets quieter. A flat tire is now an inconvenience, not a catastrophe. A surprise medical bill is now a setback, not a spiral. A slow month at work is now uncomfortable, not terrifying. And when the immediate threat quiets down, something remarkable fills the space it leaves behind. Clarity. You start thinking in longer time horizons. You start noticing opportunities you were too stressed to see before. You start asking questions that survival mode never had room for. Questions like, what do I actually want my life to look like? And what would I try if I knew I could absorb the failure? Now let me show you what this looks like in two real lives. Ryan and Priya. Same city, same job, same salary. $48,000 a year, both 29 years old, both starting from almost nothing. Ryan lives without a cushion. Every month is tight. Every unexpected expense goes on the card. He works hard. He's responsible by most measures, but the constant low-level financial stress keeps him in a permanent crouch. He doesn't negotiate his salary at his annual review, not because he doesn't deserve more, but because asking feels risky when you can't afford to rock the boat. He doesn't take the online course that could upgrade his skills, not because it's expensive, but because the $200 feels untouchable. 2 years pass. Ryan is still at $48,000, still tight, still crouching. Priya spends 14 months getting to $10,000. It's hard. She cuts things she misses. She says no to things she wants, but she gets there. And then something shifts. She walks into her annual review and asks for a raise. Not desperately, but calmly. Because even if it goes badly, she's okay for a few months while she figures out next steps. She gets $6,000 more a year. She takes the $200 course. It leads to a freelance client. The freelance client becomes $800 a month on the side. 2 years after hitting $10,000, Priya's income is $21,000 higher than when she started. Not because she's smarter than Ryan, not because she got lucky, because $10,000 gave her brain the space to make moves that Ryan's brain couldn't afford to make. The $10,000 didn't make her wealthy. It made her capable of becoming wealthy. That's the shift, and it's available to anyone willing to do the 14 months. Here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. Staying below $10,000 isn't neutral. It's not just uncomfortable, it's actively expensive, in ways that are almost invisible until you look at the full picture. When you don't have a cushion, you pay the stress tax on every decision you make. You take the first job offer because you can't afford to wait for a better one. You don't negotiate because the risk feels too high. You stay in the apartment that isn't right for you because moving costs money up front. You keep the car you should have replaced because a down payment is impossible. You pass on the investment, the course, the opportunity, not because you evaluated it and decided no, but because the timing felt too fragile. Every one of those decisions, accumulated over years, costs far more than the $10,000 would have. And here's the other cost. Every time you get close, $6,000, $7,500, $8,000, and an emergency hits and you start over from zero, you don't just lose the money, you lose the psychological progress. You reset back into survival mode. The calculator turns back on, and the next attempt has to fight through the exhaustion and discouragement of the last one. Starting over at $0 when you've been at $8,000 doesn't feel like the beginning. It feels like defeat, which is why protecting the cushion, once you build it, is just as important as building it. Because the value of $10,000 isn't only in having it, it's in the uninterrupted stretch of time your brain gets to operate above survival mode. Every month you stay above the line is a month your brain is working on building, not just surviving. Here's the good news. The path to $10,000 is not complicated. It is not easy, but it is simple. And simple is something you can follow even when life is messy. Step 1. Open a separate account today and name it, not tomorrow, today. Open a high-yield savings account that is separate from your checking account. Name it something that means something to you. Freedom Fund, The Floor, My $10,000. Whatever it is, make it specific. The physical separation matters more than people realize. When your cushion lives in your checking account, it becomes part of the ambient balance you spend from. When it lives somewhere else, somewhere you have to actively choose to go, it stays. Step 2. Automate a fixed transfer on payday before you see the money. Decide on the number now, not what's comfortable, what's realistic. $100, $200, $300 a month. Whatever the honest number is based on your current income and expenses. Set it to transfer automatically the day your paycheck lands. Not after bills, not after spending. The moment it arrives, a portion leaves for the floor. This matters because discipline runs out, motivation fluctuates, but an automated transfer doesn't negotiate with you at the end of a long week when spending feels like the only reward left. The system saves when you wouldn't. Step 3. Treat every windfall as an acceleration. Tax refund, work bonus, birthday money, side project payment, sold something you weren't using. Every unexpected dollar that enters your life during this period has one job: close the distance to $10,000. This is temporary. It doesn't mean you can never enjoy a windfall again. It means that right now, before you've crossed the line, every accelerant matters. Because every month you shave off the timeline is another month your brain gets to operate in the mode that changes things. Step 4. Protect it like it's irreplaceable, because it is. Once you start getting close, you will be tempted. A vacation that feels earned, an upgrade that feels overdue, a situation where $3,000 would really help right now. Here is the rule. The cushion is not for wants. It is not for inconveniences. It is for genuine emergencies that would otherwise send you backward. Define that list clearly before you need to make the decision in the heat of the moment. Job loss, medical emergency, car failure that prevents you from working. Those are emergencies. The vacation is not an emergency. The upgraded laptop is not an emergency. And spending the cushion on either one doesn't just cost you the money, it costs you the mode. It sends you back below the line, back to the calculator, back to survival. Protect the floor. Let everything above it be what you build. Picture yourself 6 months from now, not rich, not retired, not free from every financial pressure that exists in your life right now, but standing in a grocery store, just shopping, not calculating, not second-guessing, not holding the name brand sauce and putting it back for the store brand because $1.40 might matter on Thursday. Just shopping. And then picture the month after that, when your boss passes you in the hallway and says your annual review is coming up. And instead of dreading it, instead of going in hoping just to keep what you have, you walk in knowing you can have a real conversation because you're okay for a minute if things go sideways because the floor is there. And picture the month after that when you see an opportunity, a course, a project, a small bet on yourself, and instead of calculating whether you can afford to be wrong, you calculate whether it's worth trying. That's what $10,000 does. Not all at once, not dramatically, but quietly, consistently, permanently. It changes the questions your brain is allowed to ask. And different questions lead to different decisions. And different decisions, compounded over years, lead to a completely different life. The calculator is going to turn off. It's not a question of whether, it's a question of when. And every automated transfer, every protected windfall, every month you hold the floor and don't go back below it, is a month closer to the morning you open that account and feel, maybe for the first time in a long time, like you have room. Build the floor. Everything else gets built on top of it. If this landed for you, if you recognized yourself in that grocery store, in that annual review, in that moment of passing on the thing you should have tried, share this with someone who needs to hear it. They're probably closer than they think. And subscribe for more content that gives you the full picture, not just the part that sounds good. I'll see you in the next one.